everyone, this is Danielle, also known as Gently Smiling Jaws, and welcome to my Flosstube. I'm recording this later than I normally do. Normally I would have done this last weekend, ended up busy with some family stuff and it just didn't happen, so fingers crossed I'm able to get this edited yet today so it can go up tomorrow. We will see how that goes. So, start off with the tea that I'm having today. It's one that I've shown on here before. This is from a little shop called Tea Thoughts, and it's called Aram, which means calm, and there is the labeling on this bag. I know the packaging has changed somewhat, and since I first bought some, because I have another bag as well. Let's see. I know I don't have a ton left in here, but we'll see if we can show. Is that gonna focus in? Maybe, maybe not. There we go. Let's see if. There. So this is just an herbal tea, and it's what I was wanting right now. So that what I am having currently, and I'll have some now. All right, I haven't done a whole lot of stitching this last month. I intended to do a lot more. There's lots of things that I want to work on, but my motivation to actually do the stitching has been very low. Because just personal stuff as well as everything going on in the world. I mean, we have the ongoing genocide in Gaza, and as I always try and do, I will have links down in the description if you want to donate SIM cards to folks in that area, because communication is very difficult there. There's obviously the war still going on in the Ukraine, and actually for both Gaza and Ukraine I have a cross-stitch pattern, the free one from Jacob from Modern Folk Embroidery, that I've been meaning to get back to again. That hasn't happened. I have a number of Ukraine related patterns and I've wanted to start on one of those. That hasn't happened yet either, but it's still in the back of my mind of things I want to work on. And then also here in the US, there's plenty of things falling apart here, and what I have done recently is I just ordered a whole bunch of stamps and some blank cards, so when I can get myself focused on writing actual letters to send off to various representatives in various places, just because I feel like that physical mail gets paid more attention to than other things. So that's what I'm going to try and focus on once my supplies arrive. But after all of that, for something good that's gone on, I wanted to show this very cool card from the drama bookshop that my friend Jen sent me when she was in New York recently. Isn't that a great card? And Jen, if you want to find her on Instagram, her username is the Jenny Rage. And if you like cross stitch, which I'm assuming you do because you are here, and cross stitch and birds and spiders and Broadway musicals, you will find a lot of all that on her Instagram if you check that out. And then also sent me a bookmark, and this here, let's try and get this to focus, this cool sticker, or if you've seen pictures of the drama bookshop that have, like it shows here, all those books spiraling up, and then just a cool bookmark there. So I thought that was cool and I wanted to show that, and I'm debating whether I want to dig around. I may have a frame that would work for this side, and maybe I will frame this card. but I'm going to tuck that over here for now. So for the actual stitching, I worked on 1, 2, 3, only 4 things since I last filmed, but we'll go through them. I don't know how long this video will be, but we will see. Let me. And pretty much everything is still in the hoops because I had plans of going back to things which I have not gotten to yet. This was what I worked on both first and last of things done since the last video. This is my Disagree by Rebel Stitcher Designs, and I thought I grabbed the pattern to since I have a hard copy of this pattern, thought I grabbed that to bring in, but apparently I did not, so I'll have to stick that up on the screen later. But this is fabric from Banana Oil, and the flosses are 2 different shades from Roxy Floss Co. And that is where I am right now. It extends a little bit down further, but what I've done most recently was kind of up in that corner there. And I know there's lots of other people that are starting this now, so I need to look and see. I've seen posts here and there, but I'm gonna have to go and pay a little more attention to the projects everybody's working on now and see how everybody's coming along. So there's that. Next on the list was Airmail January by Lindy Stitches. And as I've mentioned before, this I'm putting January, February, March, April of Lindy Stitches airmail patterns all together on one page, with a little border that I'm working on around the edge of little feathers so that it sort of looks like on an airmail envelope. I intended to do this for all the airmail patterns. We'll see, and make a little book out of it so I'd have like a book of stamps. We'll see whether that happens right now. I'm just going to try and finish the page, and if I accomplish that, then at least that is, a finish on its own, whether or not I get to the rest. So I've finished the border, got the heart, got the cent sign, and I think I realized I screwed up on, I miscounted somewhere, did something weird on the little cent symbol, but I decided I wasn't going to take my stitches out and redo it because I just wasn't feeling it, and I didn't think it was that big of a deal. So that mistake is going to stay. Got part of a tree up there, and obviously still have the bird itself to get to. So that's where I am at on that one. Next up is my Stitch for Pride 2025, and this so far I've been keeping up with it every month. I try and make this sort of my first thing that I work on every month, and obviously putting it all together on the same piece of fabric. This over here, this braid of sweetgrass, was April's pattern, and try and see if that's coming in. There we go. I used Dying for Sass Mr. Green Jeans and Cottage Garden Threads Verbena for that one, and the verbena is also used in March's there, and so I carried that down into this one. And let's see if I made my notes here. So the April pattern was about Ozawindib, a chief of the Leech Lake Ojibwa, and or Ojibwe, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I went through some of the learning for the month as I was doing the stitching on this, and I found it really fascinating learning about her as one of the chiefs and kind of the role she played, and various things. And what I also found interesting is that a lot of the information that we have about her comes from, and I'm blanking on this fellow's name, but he was someone who was a child of white settlers that at a young age was sort of taken in with the indigenous folk there and raised by them for many years before then he kind of later came back to white society. So sort of thought that was interesting, that that's where we have a lot of information from. But looking forward on keeping up with this, because yeah, the two things I'm trying to really keep up with this year are this Stitch for Pride, as well as the next one that I'm going to show. And if nothing else, I'm trying to make sure that I complete my monthly stitching for both of those. So next is Put a Bird on It. And this is, again, on banana oil fabric, and I'm just using DMC Blanc, and I am got my stitches up through where I figure I need to be for up through April, and it's coming along. So I finished this big motif there, so I'm hoping that from here on out, since all of the other motifs are smaller, it'll feel a little easier to do kind of bite-sized chunks as I go along. So after I finish this, I kind of moved on down to this area here. I think I'm going to try and finish up over on this side and then kind of continue moving this way. But I wanted to tackle that big pattern because I felt like it would feel like a big accomplishment, which it did. So I'm happy with how this is turning out. I also saw that Miriam from Marumi Designs had restarted hers on a banana oil fabric as well, using a solid color, and I think it's looking really great. I mean, pretty much everybody's Put a Bird on It that I have seen is looking fantastic. I know some people have loved it so much, like Nithya, that they've already sped through everything and are finished, and other folks like me are just kind of plugging along, and folks are even, jumping in now because there's plenty of time to catch up if you want to start now. And you don't even have to catch up. You can just start and finish it whenever you finish it. But that is where I am on that. Okay, time for some more tea here. When I do these, my voice always gets a little froggy. But although that is all of the stitching that I did for this month, which obviously was not a whole lot, I do have some more fiber stuff I've worked on. I actually did some knitting this month. All right. I'll have to find, I don't think there's anything on this bag. I know I've shown the seller's bags before, and I got them, I got a few different ones. I got them off Etsy. I'll have to find the seller, list them down below. These are just bags. This one happens to have merman on it. A number of months ago, I had said that I had interest in learning to knit a sock. I had dug around in my stash because I wanted to use from stash. I found that I did have specific sock yarn, and what I had that was an amount that I could use was black sock yarn. I worked a little bit on it. I was struggling with the magic loop. I had gotten like as far as the cuff, and then it sat for a few months. When I went to pick it back up again, I looked at this. I'm like, the yarn is black. I'm still trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing. It's very hard to see unless I have very bright lighting. This is going to frustrate me so much, and I pulled it off the needles. So this was my previous start, which I don't know how many times I had to restart it to get it to the point that I did, but I was done. I pulled it off. I went and I pulled some different yarn, which This is some Madeline Tosh yarn, which again I'd had for ages. I think this was something that was maybe a special colorway they did for a Doctors Without Borders fundraiser. I don't think the paper is. Yeah, I don't have the paper tag tugged in the middle of this, so I don't remember off the top of my head what this is called. But I've had this for years. I think I had 2 skeins of it. I think I had started to use another skein in like another project, like a scarf, and then I frogged everything, and then I restarted it, and I think that's where my other skein is, in this half-finished scarf that I don't know if I'm gonna ever finish it. But I had this one sitting around, and I'm like, this wasn't what I was planning on using this yarn for, but I have it, and it's colorful, and I'm gonna use it. So I sat down and I started working on another sock. The first evening when I decided to restart the sock, I started and restarted it, I think 4 times, just to get things started with the cuff. Then I stitched down. I knew that, I know there's mistakes in what I was doing. Some of them I just left because I had gone far enough, and I'm not as confident with my knitting, and so sometimes I just want to leave things as they are and keep going. So I got down to where to make the heel flap, and I should mention I was using the pattern, the SOS Basic Sock by Summer Lee Design Company, and it's a free pattern that you can get off Ravelry, and there's some video tutorials on YouTube that go along with it as well. One moment. Oh, my allergies are just going today, so if there are cuts, it's probably because I'm dealing with sneezing. But I got to the heel flap on the pattern, and I think I made a mistake and had to, here, I'll just bring this out, and I got a ways, and then I think I had to rip it back, and I was trying to rip back just a little bit, and then I was having trouble figuring out what stitches I needed to pick up, so I ripped all the way back to before I started the heel flap and redid that. Then I did the heel turn. Again, I got to that, realized I had screwed up and had to rip back again. I did a lot of ripping back. Then finally did the foot, stitched enough. I kept thinking I was done with the length of the foot, and I check and it's like, not there yet, not there yet. Finally, it got to the point where I checked again, and then I did it a little too long. I said, I'm not ripping back again. We're just going with how long it is. So then I did my decreases and did that. Attempted Kitchener stitch at the toe, which I don't think I fully did correctly, but at that point I'm like, I just need to get this sock done, because if I focus on making it perfect, it's not gonna happen. So I did my best. I got it done, doesn't look perfect, but it's together at the end, and the sock is baggy. It has issues. I haven't blocked it yet. But I have one sock done, which is sort of amazing. I didn't think I was going to get that far, but I have a sock, one single sock. I have not started the second sock, but that's something that's on the list as well. And my goal is that if I can finish sock number 2, and after that I still want to stitch more socks after that, then I can purchase smaller needles. These are size 2 needles, size 2 circular needles that I had bought years ago, because I thought, I think I want to knit socks at some point, and people say you should get, circular ones that are smaller, and so that's how I had a set of these fixed circulars. But this pattern had mentioned using size 1 needles, which I don't have on hand, and I also felt like I was knitting looser with this. So this is a slouchy sock. And so if I can finish my second sock, want to do more socks, then I can get the smaller needles, and I can get some other yarn that is specifically, sock yarn, designed to hold up more, and then I can give it another go. But I have to finish the second sock first, and by the time I do that, we'll see whether or not socks still sound exciting. We'll find out. But still, that's my one, thing that I feel proud of this month, is that at least I finished a sock. So if nothing else, there is that. The other thing that I did is last year was the first time I had heard about the Flock Fiber Festival here in Seattle, and I didn't go last year. I heard about it too late. But I did go ahead and purchase a marketplace ticket. So we'll see what's going on in my life when that arrives. But my plan is to go and check out the marketplace. So we'll see. But that is the end of my fiber crafting talk for the month. Although I do have a few more things to talk about, because I actually did go through a book. So let me set this aside and take another quick, take another quick allergy break. One moment. Okay, time for some more tea, and then on to books. So, I said I hadn't really been going through books lately. I mean, I'm still almost done with The Crystal Singer that I started back in January, and my reread of it, the book. I can see it from here. It's just sitting there, and I haven't gotten back to finishing the last bit. And I hadn't been listening to audiobooks. What I felt I needed after what I had been reading and not really vibing with reading for a bit, was I thought that another Becky Chambers book would be a good thing, and I still hadn't finished rereading the Wayfarers books that I had read or gone on to the last one that I have not read. So when my hold came through for Record of a Spaceborne Few, I went ahead, checked it out, and then I hadn't gotten around to listening to it, and I got the notification that it was going to be returned in a couple days, and I'm like, oh crap, I should go ahead and listen to this. So I think in the span of like 2 days, I listened to the book. I think it was like I started it on a Sunday, like Sunday afternoon, evening, and I put it on like 1.75 speed, because although it had been a number of years, it was something I had listened to before. And so I just started listening to it and doing things, around my place, and finished it up the next day. And I think that was the kind of book that I needed right then. And for that book in the Wayfarers series, it's about the humans who have, left Earth, but they are the spacers, the ones who have not gone to live on another planet. They are on ships in space, and that's where they live their lives. And one of the things that had stuck out to me from that book the first time that I read it was there's a character in there who's a caretaker, who is one of the folks who cares for both cares for the dead, as well as there's other stuff as well. But as I was reading through the description of how they deal with the dead on a ship in space, like I recognize this, and I believe the first time I read this, I think it was on an ebook that I have, and this time was on audiobook. And I think it was in the notes at the end of the book when I read it the first time that the author specifically mentioned talking with Katrina Spade from Recompose. And Recompose is a company here in Washington that does human composting, recomposition, and here in Washington was where it was first legalized, and now it's legal in a number of other states. It's starting to expand. Recompose is not the only company doing this anymore. There's a number of other companies now, but when I had first heard about this, because I am I am where this company is, they offer a plan where you can sign up in advance, and I don't know what the terms are currently, because I signed up pretty much, I think it was if it wasn't the day of, it was the day after this first became available, and I have a small monthly payment that I pay towards my when I pass, I will be composted, and it's something where for families who go with this option, you can either take all or some of the resulting soil home if you have folks who want to put it in a garden or whatever. But because there is a large amount of soil, if you don't want all of it, or if you don't want any of it, there are various kind of places. I forget the name of the first one that they were partnering with, but I think there's a couple other spaces out in the wilderness where your soil can be taken and put out there. So this is something I have signed up for. I have toured their facility here, and I just thought that connection was interesting. And I also feel very lucky because Washington State is one of the places where there are a lot of options for death care here. You can obviously go with, burial. I think, cremation is very popular over, here on the West Coast, but there's also aquamation, which that's something where a number of pets that I've lost. There is a pet funeral home here in Seattle that offers aquamation, and I have used them. And then obviously whether it's recomposition or terramation or whatever you want to call it, that's the same as what Recompose offers. There's that option. I think there's also at least one place, I haven't looked further into it, but there are some places where you can do an actual green burial directly, into the ground without, the casket and all that. But yeah, it's interesting. So I know there's certainly places in the US that don't have all those options, but there are options here, and I think that's great to have because people want different things, and having options is great. So there is that. The next book that I checked out recently and I started to listen to, I think I'm only like an hour or two into it, and I'm hoping I can finish it, but it is called The Less People Know About Us by Axton Betts Hamilton. And I became familiar with this story I don't know if it was a This American Life episode that I heard like years ago on NPR or something like that. But it's about this gal Axton. When she was growing up, her family had suffered from like identity theft and all these issues that were going on with them. And so growing up, she dealt with that. And then when she was kind of old enough to be out on her own and starting to open up, accounts and credit card stuff, in her own name, that's when she realized that her own identity had been stolen and her credit was ruined before she even had a credit card herself. And it's sort of the process of trying to sort this out and deal with it. And she's sort of I know that she became kind of an expert in dealing with, in particular, minors who have had their identity stolen. And because I'm familiar with the story, I know where this goes and the ultimate discovery of the perpetrator of all this. But it was a very interesting story when I first heard about it. And then this is the book that she had written since. And I know it was a number of years ago that it came out. But I'm just getting around to listening to it now. So I started in on it. But the issue that I have come up against is when I checked this out, I forgot that this week the retrial of Karen Reed started. And there are some court cases that I follow and keep up with. There's a number of, I know there are a lot of different attorneys now that have YouTube accounts and give commentary on things. There are a select few of them that I listen to, and a number of them are all covering this trial. And after listening to the vast majority of the first trial, I knew I was going to want to pay attention to the second one. And so a lot of my my time to be listening to things is going to be taken up by keeping up with this trial. So this book may fall by the wayside. We'll see whether or not I am able to get it finished before it has to go back. But yeah, as far as, I don't want to get too in depth into the Karen Reed trial, but I will say that I don't know how much I like Karen Reed as a person. I mean, obviously, I don't know her personally. I have not kept up with the latest, like, documentary stuff or interviews that she has done that have been put out there. I have not watched those, and I don't think I'm going to. Because I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how much that I like her as a person, but also from the evidence presented in the last trial, I was not at all convinced that John O'Keefe died due to being hit by a vehicle. That I was just, the evidence that was presented did not convince me of that in any way. I don't know exactly what happened to him. I don't know that it happened, how the defense, kind of played it out in the first trial. I don't know that I fully buy what they were selling there. But what I do know from the first trial is that the investigation was laughable, and I was not convinced by the evidence presented that she was guilty. So we will see what happens in this second trial. We're not that far into things yet, and at this point haven't really gotten to the evidence that matters most to me. So that is what that's what I'm waiting to see. If stuff is presented this time around that convinces me, then I am willing to be convinced. But when you're saying that somebody was died because they were hit by a vehicle, but none of the experts from either side say that he had injuries consistent with being hit by a vehicle, you haven't convinced me. So I'm going to be paying close attention to that, because I don't know, this trial, just the fact that it was brought in the first place with the evidence that they have, and then seeing what is going on in our country overall right now, it's a lot of it's concerning to me, and so this is a trial I am keeping up with. So that, I think, is all that I have to talk about right now. I don't really have too much in the way of plans, other than keeping up with Stitch for Pride and Put a Bird on It, and then hoping to get my drive to Stitch back enough to make more progress on other things that are going on. I have various things that I would like to start, but I don't feel excuse me, I don't feel ready to start anything given how little I've been stitching. I'd rather make progress on things that I have going on and maybe get something smaller finished. We will see. Looking at the camera here, it looks like this is going to be a shorter floss tube than the ones I've been doing recently, which is fine because, like I said, I still have to edit this today and get everything uploaded to post tomorrow. So I'm hoping that my video for next month will have more stitching to show you, and you know, I'll have more interesting projects and things to share, and that hopefully I will have kept up with the various things I'm working on. But that's what I've got for you for now. So if you're here and you've watched all the way through, thank you so much for being here and watching and being a subscriber if you're a subscriber. If there's something you were stitching on while you were watching this, I would certainly love to know about it, so feel free to leave a comment. And other than that, I will see you in May. So thanks so much. Bye.